Howdy ho, howdy ho, howdy frackin' ho. How are you all doing? Oh, I'm just doing peachy. Yeah, my city got destroyed. I didn't expect that one. If you asked me like 2 Fridays ago or whatever, be like, Eli, what do you think's gonna happen today? Yeah, I didn't think my city was gonna get destroyed. But there you go. There you go. What is it they say? Man creates plans for the spaghetti monster to laugh at. So for anybody out there, to fully understand the folks in Asheville and Western North Carolina, just to understand how unprepared we were, like how unprepared. I was literally on texting with my buddy Friday morning, because like it was windy outside. I mean, it was windy, but I don't know, wind. What's the difference between windy and holy fuck, it's windy? I don't know. Anyways, it was windy outside, and woke up in the morning, Friday morning, made my coffee, was sipping my coffee. Roxy was on my lap. I'm reading about the news. I was supposed to meet my buddy at 9 o'clock at a cafe. And then, like, I'm in the neighborhood where the cafe is, and, wind's outside. Whatever. The wind's outside. And the power is, like, fluctuating a little bit that morning. And then finally the power goes out. And so literally, I'm texting my buddy. I'm like texting back and forth. And I was like, oh, crap. It's in my neighborhood, so I'm pretty sure their power is out. Where else would you like to meet? And that was about 8:30 in the morning. That was about 8:30 Friday morning. That's where my mind was at. So all these people right now, like Milton, like Hurricane Milton is bearing down on Florida. And all the people in Florida, they're putting up plywood and they're evacuating and they're doing. You know why they're doing this? Because they know Milton is coming. Or at least they understand that Milton is coming. Yeah, we did not. We did not. I don't think anybody did. It was like, what? What? No. But yeah, anyways. So yeah, the power went out. And then couldn't text anymore. I was like, oh my golly. What's my buddy gonna think when I don't show up at the cafe because texting isn't working? And so it all went down. The power went down. Phone system, again, mobile, data, all that went down. And then my wife gets this little buzzer on her phone, I guess on the emergency thing that was still working or whatever. And it says, boil water advisory. And it's like, oh crap. So you think boil water advisory. And then you think, hey, maybe we should fill up the tub. Hey, might have some problems with water, in the future. We should fill up the tub. Yeah, about 5 minutes later, there was no water pressure at all. Literally went from figuring out where to meet my buddy for coffee to no power, no water, no cell, any kind of service. Just you are in a city cut off from the modern world that quick. And so here's the thing. I'm not here for morals. I'm not here for ethics. I'm not here to say what we should have done or what we could have done. I'm just telling you how this wound up, right? So anyways, so it's all raining and all that. And then we heard there was flooding. Right, anyway, so I live up on the hill. So town, like Montford proper, is about the height of the Asheville city. And then it goes down to the French Broad River, and then there's the Rivers District. You'll have heard of the River Arts District, but the River District is a huge area. So anyways, we heard there was flooding. Yeah, the French Broad floods every once in a while. Dope. Why don't we go down and take a look at the French Broad flooding? So we went down. And, so you can go down the hill, and there are all these trees that were down, so we had to climb over this thing, this bang. And so we get to this weird little intersection. You get to this intersection, and you can see this Southern States, and down to the right is a place called Salvage Station, and up to the left is White Duck. And we literally see half of White Duck float down the road. Like, oh, oh, this is a flood. And then we're sitting there. Looking at half of a white duck float down the road. We're like, huh. And then I notice, as I stood about a foot from where the water line was, and then looked down and I realized, water seems like it's a little bit closer to me. So I dip my foot in the water, and then I draw like a little line about a foot away from where it was. And then about 2 minutes later, it had hit that mark. And so I did that again and again and again. I was like, oh, wow, this is not just rising. This is rising quickly. So trying to figure out how bad this flood was. So my wife goes back home, and I go over to, you can hike up around and go to what's called the River Arts District. And in the River Arts District, there's a bridge. There's Haywood Road Bridge. Anyways, pretty tall. So there's the interstate bridge. It's really tall. But you can't kind of get on, but whatever. And then there's a Haywood Bridge, which is tall. Not as tall, but taller than the other stuff around there. So anyways, get on the Haywood Bridge. And holy bat crap. I mean, I don't know how to explain it to you. I don't know. Like, if you're not there. So basically, the water literally goes from New Belgium all the way over to Wedge. That probably doesn't make a damn bit. Basically, it's like the Mississippi. Like, I've seen the Mississippi. Again, the Mississippi floods, it gets bigger. We had Little River that turned into Mississippi. Basically coming up to, basically the tops of these buildings, tops of these stores, and all this stuff down there. And it's just a hell of a thing. And at one point, see these trees, like people are like, what the fuck's that? And so there's like this tree line, right? Because you got the river here. They're supposed to have the river here, and you're supposed to have like this trail and River Arts District here. So anyways, there's this tree line between the two, and there's just something like banging the trees. Looks like freaking Godzilla, like a monster movie. Like something just banging the crap out of blah, blah, blah. Fuck, what's that? And it's this semi-truck container. So like one of these big semi-truck trailers, just floating is not the right word, just zipping down this river. So anyways, it's going down, and then we're like, crap, it goes under the bridge, and there's another bridge way down that's lower, so it's kind of how you get from the River Arts District over to what's called West Asheville. Anyways, it's lower, connects everything. We really want that bridge. It's a very useful bridge. Anyways, so the water is basically like cresting right about to the top of that bridge. It's about cresting that bridge. And so the semi-trailer is just fucking going down at Mach 1 towards the bridge. And we're all like, crap. Because if this bridge goes, it's just going to suck. It's just going to suck for a long time. Anyways, so you see this thing, and then it just hammers the bridge. It hits the bridge and stops. So, okay, that's cool. And then, oh my golly, this entire semi-trailer just gets crushed like a damn tin can and sucked under the bridge. God bless whoever engineered that bridge. That bridge is just pure damn cement and rebar, I guess. And afterwards, I took a look at the bridge, and the railing or whatever got broken off. But at least for me as a layman, it looks pretty decent as a bridge. It's a little cleaner. But yeah, no, like so. Yeah, so it's just, and the weird thing is, like when you're in Asheville, everything feels very segmented. So even though things are in the same geographic line or whatever, you don't necessarily realize it. Like the river valley, like because you kind of go, like the way you get to a lot of things is by going over hills. So you don't think about it the same way. So anyways, this river valley, goes all the way from past River Arts District, but it goes up in a place called Biltmore Park, and it goes above that into other areas. And, all of that just got hammered. Like buildings literally don't exist anymore. Again, Pleb, if you know any of these names, there's this winery, this horrible wine. Sorry, it's me. Anyways, there was a god-awful. We had this winery called Pleb, just fucking. I don't know. It served basically food color and rubbing alcohol as far as I'm concerned. But anyways, it was popular. It was right by the river. And it was cinder block. It was all cinder block, right? It wasn't wood or whatever else. Pure God, fucking wiped. And when I say wiped, I'm not saying like, oh, there are some buildings or chunks of the wall are gone. Basically, it had a cement foundation or a cement footing, I suppose. And that cement footing damn near could be a basketball court right now, as far as you could be concerned. It's just everything is gone. There was this huge warehouse that was right beside like the River Arts District. Nobody really, I don't know anybody who knew what the hell it was. It's like one of these old school warehouses, been there like 100 years or whatever. Again, cinder block and wood or whatever. But it was massive, massive. I don't know, 50,000 square feet, 100,000 square feet. I mean, huge thing. Again, it was just always kind of sitting there. But, I mean, it was cinder block and whatever. Was. Again, not even like, you're like, no, but seriously, where'd the cinder block go? It's not like the cinder block like fell over. It's not like you have a field of cinder block. It's just you got a field. So wasn't there a big ass building there? What happened to any of it? Aliens came down. Aliens are anal probing our warehouses. Anyways, but it's just, yeah, River Arts District is just screwed. The interesting thing is, I will say, this was a surprise, lived experience. All the cinder block buildings were ravaged. Either they were just gone, or they just took massive damage. Interestingly enough, curiously enough, the old school brick buildings. So if you go to Foundry, so Foundry was cool. Anyways, you had cinder block buildings and you had metal buildings. You had all kinds of buildings there. Wood buildings. You got to see what happens to these buildings with a flood. So anyways, the factory, so there was a Foundry. So there was a factory, which was the initial set of buildings that they built up the rest of Foundry around, are like old school, 100-plus-year-old brick buildings. And those damn things, they're kind of like the bridge. Looks like they got a wash. Looks like they got a wash. If everything wasn't destroyed around them, you'd be like, whatever. Did something happen here? Again, if you go down by like where Wedge is, so Black Wall Street and stuff down there, same thing is true. Like these old school brick buildings, they basically got a wash. Everything else, and yeah, and that's in Asheville. And so with Asheville now, let's see what's going on. So we got cell service back. So we couldn't send SMSs. I mean, think about this in the modern world. Think about SMS. Just text message goes away for everybody. Text message went away. Voice calls went away. 5G went away. All of that went away. So we finally got that back. A number of days ago, cell phone service came back again there. Electricity is still off for many of us. So for us, for me and my wife, electricity is still off. And it's weird, or to me it seems weird. I'm sure to Duke Energy this makes sense. Anyways, so we're close to town. So I'm like half a mile, like literally walking to town is like up the street and take a right and I'm in the city. So we're like one of those old school communities that was built, again, 100 years ago. I have a newer house, but most of them are old school. So the weird thing is, like when power went out, I went, don't worry, dear. We can damn near see town if the trees weren't there. We'll get power back soon. And yeah, no. Most of Montford, a lot of Montford, got their electricity back. We were told we would get our electricity back by last Friday, and we have not. So I'm doing this on Tuesday. There's no electricity in our house. When will the electricity come back? They're not even giving us an estimate. Like before, there was a whole argument about whether they were being too optimistic with the estimate. So now Duke Energy is like, well, we don't want you to feel bad about our estimates, so we're just not going to give you an estimate. So our power is just down. The reason power is so bad for Asheville and the surrounding areas is there were so many trees down. Apparently, we did not know this, or I did not know this, 100-year-old oak trees aren't that good. So Montford has these beautiful old oak trees. Apparently in really bad storms when the ground is wet, they have a tendency of doing this. We had so many. Oh my God, like the main street through Montford, that had major trees down in it. The little roads, like people didn't know how to get around in Montford. So many trees were down. Like in my house, so I own like 0.03 acres, not 0.3 acres, like 0.03 acres, right? About as small as you can put a house on. I got a little bit of a front yard and a little bit of a backyard, and that's it. We have 2 trees down on our property and 2 other trees that were halfway, in the falling position when I guess the storm let up. And so now they're like that. So we have 0.03 acres or something along that line. And we basically have 4 trees that have to be taken care of. There is one of these places in Montford where they have like an acre and they have like 12 big trees down. And so that's one of the things, like with the electrical folks, there was just so much, just telephone poles just broken. Just broken. Like, it's one of the only times I've ever looked at the utility company. It's just like, fair enough. Like, you just look at what they're dealing with and you're like, okay, why aren't you yeah. You're like, I get it. I don't get why we don't have power. One of the funny things, though, about North Carolina. So again, my family's from West Virginia. I've never dealt with this crap before. Again, every state in the United States does things slightly differently. So anyways, in North Carolina, they really like these things called sewer pumps. This is a bad design idea. You know how I say, good design or whatever, defaults to good outcomes. Bad design defaults to bad outcomes. Let me tell you about sewer pumps. Shit design. Don't do this to your house. So anyways, so they put houses on the side of these hills. But the problem is, right, the sewer line is basically at road grade, at the road level. And so if you want to put bathrooms or whatever in your basement, then you have to figure out how to get the crap, essentially the water and all that, from there all the way up. And so with our house, what you do is you have about 100-gallon tank that's buried in the dirt down below the basement or the first floor level. All the water goes down to that container, and then you have a sewer pump that then pumps all that up to grade or to the sewer pipe. So guess what happens when you have no electricity? You also have no toilets. You also basically have no toilets. So not only do we not have electricity, but we can't poop very much. We've got how it works out, you have about a 20-gallon leeway. So essentially we've flushed our toilets about 4 times in a week and a half, which makes the house smell ever so lovely. So that's the next thing that's going on with it. And then there's water. And there's water for Asheville. And what you have to understand is we have no water pressure. So normally when you hear about water, failure with water, especially in the United States, again, boil water advisory or whatever else, there's no water pressure. There ain't no water. The reason is because apparently when the flood came through, it scoured 25 feet down and ripped out the main water pipes that feed from our reservoir into Asheville. It wiped out the primary water pipe, and because that's how this disaster would go, it actually wiped out the backup water pipe too. And if you see footage of what it looks like, it's kind of like, yep. So they're saying it's going to be weeks until we get running water. And then there's an interesting thing with turbidity. You may have heard the word turbidity before. It's one of those words you don't think too much about until everything goes to hell. So turbidity is basically the how clear water is, how much crap is in the water. So with our reservoir, apparently our reservoir currently looks like chocolate milk. So even if they get the pipes connected, you can't put chocolate milk through the water filters because that just won't last very long. So that may take a month to clear out. And yeah, so no electricity, some cell phone service now, no internet. So Spectrum contacted me, our ISP contacted me and said, well, there has been a disaster. And so they will not start repairing the internet service until there's electrical. So basically, again, with how the lines are and everything else, whatever breakage there is in their systems, they're not going to fix those until the electrical is back. And again, the electrical isn't back. So no power, can't flush my toilets, obviously not really any internet, and no potable water. And that's the situation we're in. And we're doing pretty good. We're doing almost everything concerned. We're actually doing good. Areas in western North Carolina, I mean, basically got wiped off the map. If you know these areas, yeah, it's just like... I've seen video footage. And again, like, there's a video footage where they'll show you where the road ends on one side and where it begins on the other. And then in the middle of it, it just looks like river. It's not like, oh, here's asphalt that got eroded or whatever. You're just like, why is this jackass walking in the middle of a river? And it's like, oh, because, I don't know, 12 days ago, that was where the road is. Apparently we have like 400 roads that have had the crap ripped out of them. Which is just a hell of a thing. I have volunteered. I volunteer at Harrah's downtown. They take volunteers to help feed the emergency workers. So the fire department and the Swiftwater folks and the police officers and that kind of thing. It's kind of a food kitchen or whatever for them. I volunteered with them. When I talked with the manager before we left, basically he said they were currently in talks to have that facility running until after Christmas. So when you think about how long this crap show is going to go on, I mean, like, think about that. They're going to have a dedicated food place for emergency responders. What is it, October? For 3 months. 3 months for emergency responders. The rest of the city, I mean, again, it's just a crap show. I was reading this thing. So there's an axe throwing business. Anyways, it's at the mall. So the mall's up on a hill. I don't think it sustained any major damage, anything like that. But because there's no power and because there's no water, they're going to be shut down for a month. So again, for any entrepreneurs out there, think about this for a second. A facility that was not significantly damaged or destroyed by the disaster is still going to be down for a month because of the infrastructure. And now think about all the businesses that did take damage. It is just... Yeah, I don't even know. Like, again, if you watch any of the video footage, again, I was down at the River Arts District, that area. I don't know what the hell happens to Asheville. One of the things I find frustrating right now is these assholes out there that keep talking about Katrina. Have you heard this bullshit? They're like, well, New Orleans came back from Katrina, so we'll come back. Oh, damn these fuckers. Oh, they're bastards. They think they're being nice, but they're bastards. Because the funny part is about New Orleans, it hasn't actually come back from Katrina. You can do a search right now about has New Orleans recovered from Katrina, and you can read news articles from just a couple of months ago talking about how New Orleans has never recovered from Katrina. And so the worst part, like there's stupid crap you can say. There's stupid shit you can say. But come on, there's some limits. You can say Asheville's going to come, well, who knows? But be like, it's going to come back like New Orleans did. It's like, yeah. Have you ever actually checked in on New Orleans? Again, my wife and I, when we went around the country in 2015, again, so what, 10 years later, I think it was, we were in New Orleans. Chunks of New Orleans. We're still a disaster area in 2015. Last time I was in New Orleans, I think it was like 2018. Most of those areas were still a disaster area. 12 years later, New Orleans was still pretty crappy. And it seemed to be going downhill, to be honest with you. Again, just because of tourist areas. That's what I love about people. They're like, well, I don't understand. Eli, Bourbon Street was wonderful. Motherfucker, not everybody lives on Bourbon Street. Great. The tourists are happy. I mean, I get it. I know that's what we care about in the United States. Eli, but if the tourists are happy, you know what that means? I'm like, no. What does that mean? It means the tourists are happy. Anyways. Anywho. So, yeah. I don't know what the hell's going to happen in Asheville. I had to be very careful. Because, again, as an Aspie with business experience, previously having been a field team leader with search and rescue and disaster and all that kind of horse crap, I'm like, yeah, this isn't good. This isn't good. Oh, so yeah, that is Asheville right now. And again, I was talking with the guy who's running the soup kitchen for first responders or whatever. And he's worked in the restaurant industry for a while as a manager. And, one of the things he talked about, he was like, nobody in the restaurant industry can basically pay the turnkey expense for a month with no customers. Even before you get insurance. Before you get into insurance, before you get to anything else. Again, all the things that are required for these businesses to simply function. And the best case scenario right now for most of these businesses is that they're going to be shut down for a month. That's the best case. Woohoo! 1 month. Which will wipe out probably about 50% of the businesses. And then the rest, God knows what's going to happen. Because again, like with Asheville, I've talked about this for a while. The economics of Asheville was stupid. They were stupid 2 weeks ago. Again, my wife is a musician. And we've already noticed it. We've already noticed it where breweries have scaled back on what they were spending money on. Because she goes to open mics and she goes to events and things. And over the past year or two, the breweries have were already scaling back on their unnecessary expenses. Because they weren't doing so good. They weren't doing so good 2 weeks ago. And now we have this. So I don't know what the hell's going to happen in Asheville. You think about that with remote workers. So the thing that's driven the economy. Again, it's a stupid economy. Our economy did not make sense 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago was a stupid economy. Now it's a stupid, broken economy. Anyways, again, we have all these remote workers that have come. But, most of them, they're renting or whatever. Again, you have no internet access. You're not that connected to the community. And they're high-value employees. They're the ones that have... Again, you get people making $150,000, $200,000 a year descending on an area that's basically full of breweries and restaurants where people make $20 an hour. What happens when they realize, this disaster is going to go on for a year. The disaster scope is going to be a year. How many of these people are going to stick around? How many of these people can stick around? I was talking to one buddy of mine who's a remote worker, and he was already saying his boss just doesn't give a damn. You want to talk about cold? I thought I was a snarky motherfucker. His boss just doesn't care. It's like, you need to do your work. Yeah, but we just had a Katrina level event. The boss is like, guess who's remote working? Guess who doesn't give a crap about your problems? And again, but it is an interesting thing to consider. If you are a remote worker and your job gives you the flexibility to live wherever you want to live, and you decide to live in a disaster zone, should your boss have a damn bit of sympathy for you? It is a very curious thing to consider in this modern world. So I wonder what's going to happen with the remote workers and the nomads and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I bought my house. Don't buy the cow. Mama always told you, don't buy the cow when you can get your milk for free. Anyways. Yeah, we own our house. We're with Asheville. I don't know if we're ride or die with Asheville. I'm not that loyal. But we're there for a while. Gonna see what's gonna happen. So we've evacuated. Because again, I mean, no power, no water, the rest of it. Also, there's not a lot of value for being there. Like, I've heard a lot of people talk about like survivor guilt and like they feel bad for leaving. But honestly, unless you're in like maybe Swannanoa, unless you're in Chimney Rock, unless you're in the places that were really, really hit and you know those areas and are connected to those areas, we're at a bit of an impasse at this point for a lot of us. There's a huge number of volunteers that have come in. When volunteering, again, at Harrah's, we have people that drove in all the way from Minnesota. So we have people that have come in from all over the country to volunteer. So they're here now, or they're there now. Supplies. There are so many supplies. You go to places that wanted supplies like a week ago, and they don't want them anymore. They're literally, take your supplies somewhere else. We can't deal with this level of supplies anymore. So we've got a crap ton of volunteers from everywhere. We've got a crap ton of supplies from everywhere. So again, especially for any place that's basically stabilized enough, like Asheville or whatever else. And then if you don't know the territory, you don't know the people, you don't know the rest of it, I would question whether going up into the mountains is a wise idea for anybody. Again, one of the things you learn doing search and rescue and emergency response is the first person you take care of is you. You don't think about that, right? Heroes aren't supposed to think about that, but it's true, right? The first person you should worry about is the rescuer, because as soon as the rescuer gets screwed, nobody else gets help. Here's the thing. If you go up into the mountains and you don't have training and you do not have the proper equipment, then, you don't want to just go up and literally just become the next victim, right? Because then somebody else has to rescue your ass, and they're then rescuing you instead of dealing with what they should be dealing with. So there's a lot of question about like what the value is of staying there. So that's where with me and my wife, we've talked about it. We're here in Raleigh. So we're going to be in Raleigh for a little over a week. See what happens in Asheville. Go back to Asheville next week. Kind of poke Asheville. So how you feeling, Asheville? How's things going? Then we'll figure out what we're going to do next. We got an Airbnb here in Raleigh. I'm meeting people. I'm schmoozing with folks in Raleigh. Again, Silicon Dojo is my, again, it's what I believe in. I don't give a fuck what you believe in. I believe in it. That's what a lot of people don't understand about startups or ideas or whatever. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It's what you believe in. I believe in Silicon Dojo. God damn it. We're going to make this thing work. I don't know how. I don't know. Real estate should be really fucking cheap after this, though. Look, I just need a place to put some chairs and some desks and get a fiber line dropped in. I am more than happy to put that in the old River District. You give me low cost rent, and I will give you a great training facility that can get flooded and nobody will care about. Anyways, so basically I'm here. I'm going to meet up here in Durham tonight. There's an AI thing here in Asheville, in Raleigh tomorrow. There's another thing in Raleigh the next day. I'm going to be meeting with some more folks. I'm kind of thinking, I'm having this idea, so even before the flood happened, I realized with Silicon Dojo that I really do, there needs to be that in-person. There needs to be a component that's in-person. Again, that's that whole, where's the balance? Where's the balance between virtual and in-person? I don't know that, but there has to be an in-person component. And I thought about this at 8 o'clock on Friday morning. It was one of the things I was going to be discussing with my buddy. Anyways. So one of the things I'm thinking is, what if we could create like a Raleigh? What if we could create a research triangle to Asheville Tech tunnel pipeline, right? Because research triangle, right? They've got Cisco. Google's putting $1 billion facility here. I think Microsoft has a facility here. There's lots and lots of real tech here. It's not fucking Silicon Valley. It's not Seattle, but It's better than Asheville's got, right? So one of my things that I'm thinking about is what if I could do training here? So again, this is a large population area with people interested in technology, with actual valuable people in technology. If I could schmooze and do training and get a reputation here, what if we could use that as a pipeline to pull folks back to Asheville? So like come here and do some boot camps or whatever on SQL and Python or whatever else, and then be like, oh, you know, if you want to go through the AI boot camp, we're running that in Asheville next month, right? Kind of do like the low value, get them in stuff here and Research Triangle, but then say, hey, you want to understand more about machine learning? Hey, you want to start about machine vision and AI and that kind of stuff? We're going to be running those classes, but we're running those in Asheville. Right? Think about polling Cisco people or Microsoft people. HP? Is HP around? I don't know. Right? Hey, again, and it's open to anybody, right? Free to the end user tech education. I don't care whether you work at Cisco or whether you work at McDonald's. You get your ass down to Asheville and you get to learn about AI. So that's kind of like what I'm thinking about right now. Like maybe like once a month, if I could figure out, like get 3 days here, because it's like a 4-hour drive. So do like a Friday night class, a Saturday, Sunday class, and then drive back. So that would be a nice, and again, like the stuff that we've done with Silicon Dojo. So it'd be a nice like little boot campy type thing. That's what I'm thinking about trying to figure out. And then once that's here, try to do that pipeline back to Asheville. And again, not rent a place, unless you want to give it to me really cheap. Unless you have some riverfront property you'd like to rent me really cheap. Probably not get my own place. Use like Goodwill, I don't know. They had facilities. I don't know if they still have facilities. Anyways, Goodwill had facilities. Many places had facilities. What they have now, I don't know. And basically use their facilities to do the Silicon Dojo classes. That is what I'm pondering. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm here and I'm schmoozing because there's one thing I have found in life. The spaghetti monster doesn't give a damn whether you're happy or whether you're sad. There's work to do. There's work to do. Computers do not care if you're passionate about repairing them or hate them with a passion. As long as you slot that RAM stick in just the right way, that's the only thing that matters at the end of the day. So I don't, again, it's weird. I feel like I felt like after the Great Recession. So I went to see a client of mine after the Great Recession, or I guess when the Great Recession was happening. So I closed down my store. I'd fired all my employees. I kept doing the consulting work. And I had one of my clients was a brain surgeon, an actual brain surgeon. So anyways, I was going in and didn't know what to do. Again, I had 9 employees. I had a wonderful business and no longer just me fixing stuff. And so the guy walks up to me and he's like, yeah, man, so how are you doing with all this? And so I looked at him. I was like, well, I feel somewhere between wanting to vomit and wanting to punch somebody. And I still remember that brain surgeon looking at me for a second and then said, I would recommend that you never say those words again. I was like, okay, fair enough. It's kind of how I feel right now. Because I just don't it's like the Great Recession. Like, what do you do when your city, when your area gets hit by a Katrina-level event that nobody was fucking expecting? I mean, that was a thing, right? You know, with Katrina, I've been watching the news before Katrina. Everybody been talking about Katrina. Like, they were CNN. I was literally watching CNN as with glee, they were explaining what, quote unquote, would happen, like if the seawalls broke and New Orleans got flooded. Like, they were doing a play-by-play on what they really wanted to happen. And then it happened. And then they all pretended to cry. Right? But here's the thing, right? Before that happened, right? Everybody knew. Everybody knew. I mean, everybody knew that the New Orleans is below sea level, and they have water pumps that were used in order to create the Panama Canal. They've been there over 100 years, and every single day, on a normal dry day like this, those damn pumps are pumping water out of New Orleans because it's below fucking sea level. Again, however you feel about where we should build or where we shouldn't build or anything else like that, everybody knows what's going on with New Orleans. But like when Katrina happened, sad, bad, the whole 9 yards. Not oh so shocking, not surprising. Again, for us, we got a Katrina level event. And yeah, at 8 o'clock that morning, I was trying to figure out where to go get a cup of coffee with somebody. So we're just, we're just trying to get through that. So yeah, I don't know what to say. It is what it is. It is what it is. Is it good? Is it bad? It just is. It just is. And we all have to figure out where our place is in this wacky ass new world. And I don't know. I still believe in Silicon Dojo. God damn it. God damn it. We'll do Silicon Dojo. We're like 80 years old, screaming about like free to end user education. God damn it, this will work. I know it. Oh, so anyways, that's about all I got to say. So yeah, we are evacuated here for now. We'll go back to Asheville. We'll most likely evacuate again. Again, everything I'm hearing about this water situation. One of the things too, like, should you stay or should you go? Again, moral, ethical, fuck those people. Again, if anybody gives you moral, ethical advice, tell them to go fuck themselves. Just don't rape anybody, don't rob anybody, right? Don't murder anybody. Other than that, whatever. But again, there is a big question, like with resource consumption in Asheville. So it is. I mean, it's out. It's Western North Carolina, which is a long way from anywhere, right? It's 2 hours from Charlotte, which is the next major city, 3.5 hours from Atlanta, the whole 9 yards. So the more people that are there, that's more consumption of resources. Even when the water comes back on, this is something to think about. Even when the water comes back on, they're gonna have to repressurize the system. So the entire city's water system has to get repressurized because all the water is gone. It didn't just stop; it got drained. Can you imagine draining a city's water system? So the entire system has to get repressurized. So that means even though water will go to everybody's house more or less, you're still going to have to conserve water because it's going to take a long time for the pressure to get up. So if the water goes to everybody's house and then everybody turns on their tap, basically nobody's going to get any water because there's just not going to be enough pressure in the system. So when you think about things like water consumption, things like, again, electricity, them getting that crap back online, the rest of it, there is a real question of if staying, you feel good to stay, but simply by being there, you're eating resources other people could be consuming if you weren't there. The other thing to think about, because I know a lot of people, like with volunteering, they want to get in the mud, right? That's what the cool kids are doing right now. They're getting shovels and they're digging mud out of buildings. Two things to consider. One, what happens if you slip? Yeah, there's metal, there's all kinds of garbage, right? You slip, you gash yourself in the leg, you're now going to the hospital, and overworked doctors are now going to have to deal with you, right? They've got the heart attacks, they've got the diabetes, they've got all the people that they've got to deal with, and now somebody who wanted to be cool and pull mud out of a building is coming in with a gash. Which again is not, like when I say that, that's not like, oh my God, Eli thinks somebody's going to get gashed by working in disaster sites. Yes, right? The other thing to be thinking about too is that mud right now is pretty fucking horrible. So one of my backstory, I was supposed to go to Ground Zero. So back when I was doing search and rescue, emergency response and all that, my team actually got deployed to Ground Zero. Because of a quirk, which is its own stupid story. Anyways, because of a quirk, a team I helped found, but anyways, I was not authorized to go to Ground Zero. The person that was authorized to go to Ground Zero lost his mind about 30 seconds at Ground Zero, but anyways, that's another stupid story for another stupid time. Here's the thing. I was very mad. I was very mad for many years that I was not allowed to deploy to Ground Zero. I was mad all the way up until people started getting lung cancer from having gone to Ground Zero, because there was so much crap in the air. Again, all that crap was in the air. They're breathing it in. Even if you have respirators, it leaks around the respirator. There's a lot of people dying in some really nasty ways right now because they deployed to Ground Zero. And again, because our country will never forget our heroes, we're letting them go bankrupt. Anyways, another story. I will say, under the Democrats or the Republicans, we are all more than happy to let our heroes die of god-awful cancers and go bankrupt. But anywho, one of the things I'll point out with all that stuff is I was down, like in the River Arces, I was down. When you breathe in right now, you get the grit. You get the grit in your mouth from that silt that was deposited, and now that it's drying out, now that vehicles are moving, now that people are moving, all of that crap is getting kicked up. Again, do remember, we've had a lot of factories. We've had a lot of factories in the River Valley. Again, whether they did it legally or illegally, I'm not getting into that mess. They did it. They put a lot of crap into the river. A lot of crap was put into the river because of the flood, and all of that is sitting and drying and becoming part of that silt, so that when you breathe it in, that's going directly into your lungs. And again, I know, I was there. I was a 22-year-old who wanted to go to Ground Zero, or whatever the hell I was. What you think is cool at 22, you rethink when you get to be quite a bit older. And so the other thing that I would say too is like with some of this stuff, if you don't need to dig things out right now, again, it might also be a good time to not dig it out. Let some rainstorms come through. Again, we're going to get some more rain. Don't worry, it won't be as bad. Get the rainstorms to come through, let it clean some of that crap out of the air, let it wash it back into the river. Again, you know, if your building isn't going to have power and water for at least a month, probably longer anyway, you need to be in it right now. It makes you feel good. And I get it. I'm not snarking on you for it. It makes you feel good to be there. But for everybody concerned, is the best idea. And the final story, again, also lived experience that I'll leave you with. Because again, there's a lot of people, you know, again, with survivor guilt and all that kind of thing. One of the best lessons I ever got was actually from when my CISM instructor died. Oh, God. I've had a fucked up life. So CISM. CISM is called Critical Incident Stress Management, right? So I was with a team. I was a field team leader. And so I was able to deploy to Ground Zero because of stupidity. Anyways, so it was a few months later. I think it was like January. And so one of the ways you could deploy was CISM, so Critical Incident Stress Management. So basically helping people deal with PTSD, that type of thing. Again, for my generation, so my generation was kind of like the first generation to take PTSD seriously. Like, oh no, seriously. Anyways, so we were supposed to get trained. And so we were supposed to get trained by like one of the top folks in the entire country. And they were one of the top folks in the entire country, and they had been working at Ground Zero since September 11th. So we're talking about like it's January. It's been about 4 months, right? So anyways, so we go up to Philadelphia. So I take my team. We go up to Philadelphia. We check into the hotel. We're going to get some cheesesteaks, right? All good. Tomorrow we're gonna learn CISM. Then we're gonna be able to help responders. Anyway, so we're going there. Everybody gets the cheesesteaks, and then I get a phone call from my old first sergeant who had set this up. And I'm like, hey, Top. He's like, yeah, so Etherton, sorry, man, but the class is canceled. Training's canceled. I'm like, what the fuck? So So I say some very impolite words. He is no longer my first sergeant. He has previously been my first sergeant, so I can say exactly what I want to say. And I say a lot of impolite words about what do you mean? My entire team is in Philadelphia. My entire team is eating cheesesteaks right now. My entire team is about to go to bed so they can wake up in the morning, learn how to do SISM. What do you mean the training is canceled? He's like, well, your instructor died. It's like, what? This is horrible. Anyways, you either laugh or you go insane. I don't know what the fuck to tell you, boys. Anyways, so our instructor died. I was like, what the fuck do you mean our instructor died? What? Because he's not that old. He's like, well, my age now. He was like 50 or something. He should not have died. Anyways, so I'm saying they're talking about first sergeant. He's like, well, yeah, because he had gone through the training. He previously gone through training. That's why he helped set it up for my team. He's like, well, yeah, you know how you go through the training. You know how they basically tell you, make sure that you're taking care of yourself, make sure that you're eating properly, make sure you sleep at night, make sure you don't drink too much coffee and drink too much alcohol and all that kind of stuff. Basically, even through these incredibly emotionally disturbing times, that you try to be healthy. I was like, yeah, of course, right? And he was like, yeah, well, yeah, the top SISM instructor in the country, didn't do any of that. It was like, basically, he landed, at the World Trade Center sometime right after September 11th, and basically has been working 100 hours a week since September 11th, so for about 4 or 5 months at this point in time, basically treating his body like shit and the whole 9 yards, and yeah, his heart exploded. So, yep, there you go. And why I think about that is, again, especially in this modern world with identity, right? There's this idea. If you're one of the top people in the country training people in something, you should not die for that stupid reason. And that was the perfect example of reality is reality. Fact is fact. If you train people to treat themselves in a healthy condition, because if they don't, their heart will explode. And then you don't take any of your own advice, don't be surprised when, wait for it, your heart explodes. So one of the things to be thinking about with that story, forget anybody in Asheville right now, is if you're dealing with stress, if you're dealing with a lot of things, especially if you're not needed, especially if you do not have to be there, it might be a good time to walk away for a while and come back. Because if you treat yourself like crap, if you maintain a high level of stress, you treat your body like crap, you too can have your heart explode. It's not about who you are. It's not about what your identity is. If you do stupid shit, heart explodes. So it's one of those things just to kind of consider, because Asheville, it's gonna be a while. It's gonna be a long time. So don't feel like you're missing out on anything. Because again, like I say, the place we're feeding first responders, they want that to be open past Christmas. 3 more months. And that's just for the first responders. We're gonna need a lot of help for a long time. So anyways. Oh, it's always funny with folks. Like, Eli, I can't believe you laugh at that crap. It's like, oh man, I got so many stories. I got so many fucked up stories. The stories I've actually lived through. It's not like, oh, my buddy. It's like, what? His heart exploded. How'd that happen? Oh, okay, that makes sense. Oh, anyways. So, that's all I got to say. If you're here in Raleigh, I'll be at some meetups. If you're interested in Silicon Dojo, doing stuff in Raleigh, ping me. I'm sure you can figure out how to ping me. It's not that hard to find me. Anyways, with that, I gotta go to Durham. I have to go to Durham and meet some people. And try not to drink too much beer. 1 beer. Yeah, 1 beer. I keep telling my wife, I'm like, man, I just want to be in my basement teaching people fucking Python and SQL. That's all I've been trying to do. That's all I've been trying to do since like July. since July. I've just been like, I just want to be in my basement teaching people fucking SQL and Python. Oh, anyways, the spaghetti monster neither asks for your opinion nor gives a shit about it. Just remember that. So anyways, I've got work to do. Because again, the spaghetti monster don't care. You got work to do. It doesn't care if you're happy. It doesn't care if you're sad. You got fucking work to do. Fuck. Oh, you know there's people out there that have pretty normal lives. Like, wow. How do you get one of those? Yeah, excuse me, mister. Yeah, you look like you have a pretty normal life. Oh. How do you get a pretty normal life? I'd like one, please. Oh, fuck me. Fuck. See y'all later.